Hey, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Well, it's fun to get together. The first of this year. We already had one SBA live a couple weeks ago talking about some things in the new year. So I want to introduce myself. My name is Matt Van Drimmelen. I am the owner and founder of Full Circle Aftercare. And this is our podcast about what aftercare should be, which is service-based aftercare. And Nikki, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Nikki Schmutz. I'm Director of Operations at Full Circle. So I get to stand behind Matt, make sure everything works right.
Yeah, definitely. I need someone making sure everything works right because
Important job.
Yeah, they all just try to make sure that I don't get in the way is what really happens.
Oh, it's kind of true, but not absolutely.
I was joking with someone this week because, I went to Spain for 3 months. I took my kids on a study abroad this year. And that was hard to be out of the office for that long. And since I've been back, everyone just got used to doing things without me. And so sometimes I'll walk in and they'll be having a meeting. I'm like, do you need me? And they're like, no, you'll just mess things up. Like, okay, just let me know.
But Matt, you really are the heart of our company and everything we do. So that's the truth too.
It's great. We have an amazing team here. So
yes.
And today we have a special guest, Sarah Powers. Sarah and I have been friends for years. We met at a convention, I don't know, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, crazy.
Sometimes. So Sarah, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah. I'm the founder of NEMU. NEMU is a tool for families to organize and divide their personal belongings, either as they prepare to declutter or downsize their home, but also especially after the loss of a loved one. And that's where Matt, Nikki, and I kind of originally met, is thinking about how we can help families after a loss.
Yeah, absolutely. When I first met Sarah and she told me of what she had created, I was blown away. What a useful, relevant, amazing tool. And I had the chance of using the tool. So I think I'll tell that story a little bit later about my own experience using it once we get it introduced a little bit. But we are super excited. The reason why we have Sarah on is because we have added my NEMU as an offering to all the families that we are serving at Full Circle Aftercare. And it's just another way to do better service-based aftercare.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Are we doing slides today, or are we just...
We are. So here we go.
You're on top of it.
Today we're talking about innovation in the funeral industry. And Sarah is here as a guest because she's a great example of innovation that is happening in our industry.
Yeah. I really like this quote where innovation is the ability to see change as an opportunity, not a threat. Right?
That's a great one.
That Steve Jobs, it's such a great quote. Talking about Spain, and the reason why I brought it up earlier is because I did want to make this point. I think with my kids, going to a foreign country sounded really fun and exciting until that first day of school, right? And that first day, they are walking into a school that they don't know anyone. They don't have any friends. They don't know the teacher. Oh, and they barely speak the language. And it's a totally different culture. And they were terrified. Yeah. And to say there were tears and gnashing of teeth was an understatement, right? It was so scary seeing that change happen. And fast forward 3 months when we were leaving to go home, it was tears, but the other way. They had made friends. They had enjoyed it so much, and the idea of having to go back was terrifying and sad to them. And I remember sitting them down that night and just talking about it. Of, that first day of school was so much unknown. What does the future hold? This is really, really scary. And you guys, it wasn't that scary once you got into it, right? One, you can do hard things, and two, change isn't as scary as you think it is. You really need to embrace it. And the next time you have something in your life that feels scary, just remember this experience. that you've been through something hard. It's not that bad when you get into it. And oftentimes it's a lot better than what it was. And now they still have friends that they text in Spain, in addition to their friends here. So it's, I really believe in this of, we have to look at innovation. We have to look at new ways of doing things. It is scary, but oftentimes it makes our life so much better.
And I would say it's not scary for just us on a vendor side and what we're offering, but it's scary for all the families who that's the first time they're ever having to deal with a lot of these estate issues and losing someone. And that in itself applies very well to your story also.
Yeah. And so, I think in the funeral industry, looking at change and looking at new opportunities, it's scary for funeral homes to know what things to add, because they don't know if it's going to resonate with families. They don't know if it's going to be actual help, if it's going to hinder. I was just talking to a vendor today that they added a service and it has not been going well, right? They thought it would be really great, but it hasn't been. And so change can not always work out. But with some cases, it just makes too much sense, right? And that's where Sarah and her innovation and what she's created is a game changer. So, Sarah, do you want to tell us a little bit about My NEMU?
Sure. I can hop into a little bit more about, I'll go over what we do as a starting point and kind of how we started. So we, as I mentioned, we help families who are working on maybe decluttering or downsizing, trying to get organized for their next of kin, or maybe be part of the process of sharing some of their lifelong treasures, but also after the loss of a loved one. So working with their children, their spouses, their loved ones on coming up with a way that can work for everyone to collaborate wherever they are, so that they can move forward. And how we do that is we provide them with our tool. It's a mobile app, and they can create an inventory of what they have. We've leveraged some AI features to make that go quickly, or they can add descriptions and voice notes and comments and additional details if they want to save those really precious special memories about the item. We pull in instant price estimates so that folks can just get a grounding starting point of, is this the treasure everyone hears about that's worth tens of thousands of dollars, or is this something that a neighbor might benefit from that I can share? And then from there, families can choose to use our division tool, where they ask family members to vote on what's being divided up. And we've built a software that takes those scores and fairly divides everything. So everyone ends up with the same emotional value worth of stuff, but maybe different quantities of items. So if somebody ends up with the most popular item, they might end up with a little less than the rest of their family. And then after that, families can work with our team to sell what's left, or download reports if they're going through probate. This becomes really handy to share with judges and lawyers that they're working with. But also, as they're clearing out the house as a checklist, something that, they can print out and have to really help them move forward more quickly.
This is a requirement with a lot of trusts, right? They have to kind of catalog all the personal property, or they're supposed to?
Yep. So, families are supposed to create a list of what's in the home at times, figuring out how much it's worth, and then reporting out where it went. So all of that information can, be tracked and downloaded from NEMU. And as I started the business interviewing families who had gone through this before, is you kind of get halfway through the process and then realize, at the beginning, I should have been doing it this way. And so it creates rework and just all too much time lost, not having a clear process from the onset.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I didn't realize how useful that would be in probate. So I appreciate you pointing that out. That's amazing.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. No, it's super important, and folks love that feature. So happy that they have access.
What made you come up with this idea?
Yes. So I was starting my MBA. I had just had my first child, and my mom was out visiting, helping with the baby. She had lost her mom a few months before, and so she was, in this headspace where a lot of your families are, Matt and Nikki, where it's just overwhelmed, not really sure how to move forward, and a little bit paralyzed. And so she, one big thing on her list was, I need to get everything out of their house. They were motivated to sell the house and, move on. And she looked at it. Her parents had lived in the same house for over 60 years. And so they had accumulated some stuff that had some financial value, but, was mainly sentimental to her and her 7 siblings who no longer lived in the same place anymore. All for better or for worse, had some competitive edge to them. And so this brought a lot of anxiety to the group. And, my mom just really wanted the process to go smoothly. She didn't want it to break down, and she didn't want relationships to suffer, especially because that's really what her parents valued most, is building a strong family that endured. And so I said, Mom, there's got to be a better way to do this, and couldn't find one. So spent a lot of my time in school interviewing families, doing initial kind of tests with families, figuring out what would an ideal solution look like that could be flexible to meet any family's needs. No 2 families are the same. And so that's what we've tried to build, is something that can be flexible, that isn't restraining for a family, because every process can be different. And so it started with my mom's family, and, it's been a really special experience because of that, building the company thereafter.
Yeah. When you talk about, I love the focus here is saving families, and people don't realize this, but families get torn apart because emotions are so high. I saw a statistic showing that families who fight during estate divisions, 40% of them never talk to their siblings again.
Yeah.
Which is devastating. I mean, it's stuff. It can't be that important to stop talking to your family forever. And if your app can keep families together, right? I mean, make them not fight, that's incredible.
Yeah, we really started with just trying to keep it so smooth that there was nothing to fight over. And we completed AARP's Age Tech Accelerator last summer, and we were asking families who had gone through this, how often did you encounter stress or fighting? And it's, over 60% of families are stress or fight because of this process. And it's, it doesn't need to be so complicated, and it can be a smooth process. And that goes back to seeing, opportunity, to make a change that you were highlighting, Matt.
Yeah. Last week, I was traveling around New England. We were onboarding 17 funeral homes.
Wow.
And so I was meeting with a lot of funeral homes, and I was talking about our new partnership with you.
Oh, great.
And explaining your amazing product, or the service that you've created. And it was interesting because every single person I talked to got it immediately. They completely understood the need. They've heard about this a million times, and they understood how important the solution was. Almost every person had some kind of a story about this family that fought and this family that broke up, and all my family struggled with this. And in fact, one funeral director, I didn't really appreciate these comments, but he said to me, well, this is even better than your other service, Matt. And I didn't like that.
That's why we're a power duo.
I was like, it's good. It's not that. No, it is that good though. It's amazing. And so I'll brush my hurt feelings aside and agree. It's a pretty amazing product.
Well, and families, funeral directors get it, but we have to also point out that a lot of other people have taken notice of your product as well. So do you want to explain some of these?
Yeah, well, so was really fortunate to be featured in Forbes last year, which feels like so long ago, and in the Wharton magazine, my alma mater. I did my MBA there, And we were recently second place for NFDA's Innovation Award this past conference, which was super exciting. And also had a feature in funeral business solutions last year. And then, as I mentioned previously, we were in the Age Tech Collaboratives Accelerator last summer, where just got tremendous support and insights on how to think about delivering a solution for all families and being nimble to that.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think the accolades will continue to come because this is such a useful service. And, I'm surprised you don't have 30 people, listed up there, because it makes so much sense. And you are going to save so many families by creating this app. It really, really will make a difference in people's lives. Now you said before something that was interesting. This is application when someone passes away. Is there use for it even outside of that?
Yes. Yeah. So we've so kind of two other family transitions that we can help with. So yeah, after somebody passes away, we've also helped families who are in the process of downsizing, decluttering. They want input from their children or their brothers and sisters on, hey, does anybody want this before I get rid of it? Just so that they can donate with confidence. And we've also helped families who are trying to have their parents age in place. So, maybe a room is too filled, or there's some stuff in the house that no longer makes sense for those living in it. And so they can, again, kind of share the family belongings with confidence and decide what's next for them. I sometimes like to describe NEMU as a decision-making tool, where, like when you're trying to sort through stuff, you have this yes, no, maybe pile. And for the no's, okay, then where does it go after that? And does anybody want it? And because there's no vehicle to collaborate with your community, oftentimes as well, some of that stuff ends up in the wrong place, like getting thrown out or donated to the wrong spot. And I think, we can do better for our immediate community, but also the world we live in, to make sure that it finds the right home. And so that's one kind of family framework or family life transition that we serve, as well as the estate settlement, estate division process. And then couples going through divorce. So, folks who are trying to amicably part ways, NEMU can be a tool for them to do that collaboratively, remotely, and also keep moving forward through the process. One great thing about NEMU is, as you don't have to clean out the house in one weekend when everyone's together. It can be people taking turns and doing one room at a time to move on.
Well, what I like about that is sometimes there's this mentality, especially when there's conflict. And, I'm obviously seeing this in estate settlement, but I can especially see it in like divorce or downsizing.
Yeah.
Where I didn't really want it, but now that my brother wants it, I want it.
Oh, yeah.
And what I like about the app is I don't really see what other people want.
Yeah.
I just judge each item for myself, whether I have an emotional attachment to it, and it's blind to everyone else, right?
Yeah.
And then I can't really be mad that he got that, because I said I didn't want it at the beginning. Like, I have to make that decision without hearing that. And so that's a brilliant aspect of this service and this app.
Yeah, the pressure that people can be under just leads to poor decision making, which leads to poor outcomes. And that was one thing when I was actually first building out the original version of the app, sitting and watching my aunts and uncles kind of submit their scores and listening to their experience. It was like, I can kind of think in my own thoughts, but also talk with the folks that live in my house or my children on, like, hey, did you ever they can take that decision, that rapid decision, that moment kind of expands in the right way for families to be intentional in what they bring into their home and be happy with it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I would love it if you could give us kind of a little walkthrough of the app itself.
Oh, yeah, right now. I wasn't prepared, but I can. If you give
Well,
me.
if you want to, I'm going to take the slide down. It doesn't have to be very much. You can show us whatever you would like, but I would also like Matt to share his story while you're
Sure.
pulling something up,
Yeah.
because Matt has some personal experience using your app. So
Yeah, which is really, he is the original version of the app, which is great.
You're saying that the new version's better?
Yes, the new version's better. But if you were able to do it anyway, it's in a different state. But yeah, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, well, so my dad passes away 2 years ago, and they had two houses. They were snowbirds, so they would live down in the warmer place during the winters, and then the mountain home outside of Yellowstone in the summers. And my brother goes down to one of the houses without talking to anyone and just loads everything up on this trailer. So he has this big, huge trailer, all of my dad's stuff there. This is just a few weeks after my dad passes away. He takes a picture of the trailer with all the stuff all piled up, and he says, "Hey, I'm going to take this to Goodwill unless anyone wants something." And then everyone starts texting him furiously. "Yeah, well, I want this, and well, what's all in there?" And and then he starts, well, okay, 4 of you said that you wanted this item, and so Colette gets it, and 3 of you wanted this one, so Matt gets that one, and everyone's like, "Excuse me, who died and made you God? If who made you decide who gets what and what?" And so
Right.
it was like, okay, unload the trailer. My siblings do not get along anyway, so now we have conflict, right? As what you were talking about, a little bit of competitiveness there,
Yeah.
right? Sibling rivalry, and everyone was getting a little bit huffy about the situation. So we got them to do my NEMU, and honestly, there were some siblings who were a little bit petty about it, right? I had a sister start taking pictures of pencil lead and staples and paper clips.
Hey, you never know. Somebody might want them.
And she was just doing it just because she didn't want to do it because it was my idea. It shows the pettiness, right? And
Yeah.
I illustrate that point because it shows what the conflict was,
Yeah.
right? To even when there's a solution, we're going to fight about it, and I'm going to make this difficult, right? And we know how I've acted that way too in times,
Yeah.
right? Well, it comes to the rounds, and we start putting our emotional level on things. And there's some things I don't want. That's just clutter. That's complete junk. I have no value, zero. Some things I want a lot, right? I ended up getting this little golf statue from my dad's office because he was a golfer. It's kind of a silly statue, and it reminds me of him. And I wanted that a lot, so I put a high emotional score on there. His air compressor is a lot nicer than my air compressor. I don't really have an emotional value on it, but if we're going to throw it away, I'll take it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I like emotional value of 1 on that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when it divides out, I was just expecting, okay, my family doesn't agree on anything. Someone's going to be upset or didn't treat fairly or whatever. Crickets.
Yeah.
I was blown away. Everyone was like, "Oh, this was so easy. This is great. Okay, I'll go get my stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll go get mine." Nobody complained. Nobody said nothing because they all were able to bid on their things, and we didn't get everything we bid on, but we did it. And I think we used another round with some stuff that had some value, right? And the agreement was, whatever we get, we'll pay 50% of that back to mom.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like an enclosed trailer and a UTV and a 4-wheeler. And that was just to know, like, do you want it or not?
Yeah.
Without knowing, well, Eric wants it, so I want it too, and it worked so well.
Yeah.
My family, who cannot agree on anything, and pettiness and everything else, and then we walk away. Oh, that was a great situation. And you know what? I think it saved a lot of our relationship, right? I think I think we have our issues, but we're able to be amicable. I mean, we're all going to dinner next week.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and so we're not like the best of friends, but we're still siblings. And it was because you saved us in these difficult situations.
Oh.
When everyone's grieving and mourning, and that one thing is the last thing that I want to hold on to from Dad.
Yeah,
that's not what we should do. And so it was a really beautiful thing. And as soon as I went through that experience, I've been hounding Sarah because I was like, I want this for everyone. Every family that we serve should be able to get this. Every funeral home should refer every family to my NEMU. Every hospice, everybody should be using my NEMU, in my opinion, because it will save relationships.
Oh, thanks for sharing that, Matt. I love hearing, such positive outcomes. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That really is. That's so great. And I would say that you touched on a couple things where, having worked with so many families now, there are the siblings that are like, well, I don't use technology. I don't trust it. We like, this is too complicated, and there's an answer for all of that. It's super easy. It's not, you're not committing to the world in tech or sharing. We keep all of our data safely secure, but we also don't take any location data. So there's no information stored on where items are or anything like that. And, we're always happy to get on the phone with folks that want to understand how it works at a very, nuanced level. We can also share all of that important information.
Well, you did that. And I'll say, I have one sibling who actually absolutely hates technology. She loved this. And it's so easy. Like you pull out your phone, you walk over to an item, statue, click.
Yeah.
Done, right?
Yeah.
Book.
Yeah. And
click.
You don't, some families do everything, but I would also say you don't have to sign up for every little thing in the house. In fact, with my family, what we did is we got through all of the big stuff and the stuff that people really cared about. And my mom said, is there anything left that is on people's minds that they want? Nobody had anything, but there was still the stuff in the drawers, the picnic tablecloths, this, that, and the other. And we just had everybody come and pick things in the backyard. And it was kind of a celebratory moment of like, okay, we're out of the house. We did this.
We did some categories of things, right? So like my mom had this hutch with a bunch of crap in it. Like these, I don't know, like older people have like these knickknacks that I don't know who would ever pay money for them. And I know that she paid money for them. So like we took a picture of the hutch. Yeah. And like, if anyone wants knickknacks in here, bid on this. And then, and there was a couple things like all the books. If anyone wants to go through books, if anyone wants this, bid on this. And some people like, I want to know books. Right. Yeah. And so then we said, okay, these three people are going to look at books. And then these three just get together and look at the books. Right. And we're not going to photograph all 500 books that are in this house. Right. You guys can look at whatever books. The rest of us don't want any. So just go for it. But that was super helpful to be like, hey, there's whole categories of things, all the silverware or all the picnic supplies. Do you want to make this its own category? Or if not, just let it go. Yeah. Really, really helpful. And so we were able to use it even in the lower technology.
Yeah, even like
the beta version,
no AI assistant, no instant pricing. Yeah, you did it in the dark age.
That's right. Yeah, somehow we got through.
Well, I have a promo video that we just put together that I'm excited about because it was a lot of our team kind of focusing on what's important to show. So I can show that, and I can kind of talk over what folks are seeing. Does that work?
Yeah, that's great.
Great, perfect.
All right, so let me.
Hi, Ken.
While you're pulling it up, I know I was going to do the same thing. While you're doing that, let's say hi to Ken and Liliana.
Okay.
There, they've got little emojis they shared with us. So.
Yeah.
All right, let me get it all set up.
Now, I can say that I did have a family member on my side who was in a big family mess, and I offered your service, but they couldn't agree on anything, and now they're just fighting each other legally.
Oh
So,
no. Oh
so
no.
I was like, come on, guys, you really should try this. And,
Yeah.
you know, I'm
Yeah.
glad you had a happy outcome, Matt. It's the few actually who end up not being able to talk at all. So
Yeah. Alrighty, I will press play here, a nice 45-second video. So the first step that we'll walk through is, you take a photo of your items, and it can be multiple items in one photo, so you can tag multiple things in that item. And then once they're uploaded, we'll pull in instant price estimates, and you can add, descriptions, additional details. Family members can record voice notes and comment on things. And here's, the eBay integration that we have. And if you need, we can help you get appraisals. And then from there, you set up these division rounds that Matt was talking about, where your family can vote on each item. And then at the end, you get to see who got what, and download your report from there, which is what we were talking about earlier that you might need if you're going through probate or working with a lawyer, or even if you're working with an appraiser, downloading things in your house so that they don't need to walk through the whole house. They can start with a narrowed down list of items to focus their time, which then kind of saves you and your family the added or the avoided cost of additional hours to bring on that appraiser.
That is so slick, because sometimes you do have to look at the value of it. And I know you take that into consideration, that it's not just the emotional value, but it's actual value, right? So,
well, we ask when people are voting, a lot of families actually are like, yeah, things are the valuable stuff often gets called out in the will or the trust, already kind of pre-designated to who it's bequested to, or maybe it's donated. And so, the other stuff, people, even though it's valuable, what we found is the sentimental, the emotional attachment overrides most of the time. And having had the intimate awareness of what was valuable and what my aunts and uncles voted on, it wasn't the most valuable thing that was the most popular. But what we do say is if the financial aspect is important to you, take the time to add the prices to the items. And that's when your family, when they're voting on things, can factor that into their score. So it does kind of come out through the division results in that way.
That's so helpful. Well, that looks way nicer than the version I used.
We have a comment from Veronica, and she says, "Great for my parents and my clients. I'm an end-of-life doula." That's awesome, Veronica.
Great.
Yeah.
Veronica, if you want Sarah's contact information, let us know.
Yeah.
Also, Ken said NEMU is a great product. So
That's
thank you
great to
for
hear,
that
Ken.
feedback. So the big announcement that we made last time, but I really want to reiterate, is every family we serve, every family that gets reported to us automatically gets my NEMU free.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
They're
we're
able
so
to
excited.
get it in. And I am so stoked to be able to give families access to my NEMU. If we can save one family relationship with this, that's what needs to happen. So
we're so thrilled. Right back at you, Matt. We're so thrilled because you guys are doing such important work for families. We often get questions that we can't answer, and so we're happy to say we can't answer this, but our great team at Full Circle Aftercare is right there to help you. So yeah, I'm super excited about it.
And if any of those people out there are not using us, and for some reason they can't use us, at least we should be sending people to my NEMU, right? So this is an independent, amazing product. We want to offer it to our families for free, but at the very least, we should be getting every family sent to my NEMU. Having used it myself as a family, I can see on the downsizing thing. Oh man, that just memory stirred of my mother-in-law fighting with her siblings when my wife's grandma was downsizing, and one person would go help clean, and then they would walk away with a trunk full of treasures that all the other siblings were heartbroken over, and it was just a really, really bad experience for most of them.
Yeah, and if somebody is experiencing Alzheimer's or dementia, but choosing to age in place, it can help the family knowing that things are the important valuable stuff is kind of out of sight and already pre-allocated or pre-divided, so that that kind of worry that families can kind of have simmering under the surface isn't there.
Yeah. Well, we are really, really excited to be able to offer this to families and to funeral homes and hospices that we work with. So, Nikki, looks like there's some questions here.
Just a little discussion about how funeral homes, because that's a lot of our target is funeral homes and hospices, but how can they evolve with the needs of families? So I think a service like yours with NEMU is a new added layer of helping evolve even how families can handle things, which is a lot of what we do with our service-based aftercare, is providing that additional support, which really is where the industry is kind of refocusing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for years and years and years, funeral homes didn't feel like it was their place to help with anything besides the burial and the services. And a very, very large funeral home conglomerate shared with me that last year they sent out 50,000 surveys and they asked families, what can we do better? And the number one response was, we need more support after the funeral, right? That means aftercare, it means service-based aftercare. And components of that aftercare include things like My NEMU. They need these tools. They don't know what they're doing. It's ruining families when they don't know how to divide up these assets. They're missing out on benefits. They're missing all those next steps. The funeral home should do something to help them. They need some kind of service base. This is the way it's going. Not everyone wants a religious big funeral anymore, but I don't care if it's a direct cremation family or a full service family. Everybody is going to need help closing out estate issues, dividing up assets, dealing with these things, rich or poor, right? Or middle class. It doesn't matter. They need help with this. And funeral homes can either innovate and be in the future and be providing this to families, or they can be left in the dust because everyone else is going this way. Yeah. They're going to be helping in a way. And I'm not saying that they have to help them with probate, right? I'm not saying get into the legal side of things, but an assisting hand, something to help them with those next steps. It means a lot to the family, and it does create loyalty, feedback, Google reviews, pre-need leads, all those things that you want, not by going directly at that problem, but by serving the family in where they're at, meeting the family where they're at. The family will then come and be like, we love you.
Yeah, totally. And I think, I love that that funeral home, did that survey, because that's what I was, it just starts with asking, how can I help? And it doesn't mean that you yourself are signing up to deliver that help, but you can redirect them to where they can get that help. And I think that's a huge step forward. And you're absolutely right. It helps with, build reputation, when a family is talking about their experience, word of mouth is so powerful, especially with these huge life moments where they'll see their volume because of that good service and that openness to hearing what people need outside of what they can deliver.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, Sarah, I want to ask you this question. What does it mean? What's it like being an innovator like you are, an inventor, innovator?
Oh my gosh.
I think I saw you standing behind Trump with Jeff Bezos, right? Right next to Jeff. In that inauguration on Monday. Saw all those tech giants. I'm pretty sure I saw you there.
But what does it mean to be I think it means to be a dreamer. You're open. It just goes back to that quote, Matt. And I'm sure, having built Full Circle Aftercare, you're open to the world of possibilities. And I think it's staying focused on what people need and not overcomplicating it. And just, I think, also it's day by day, putting one foot in front of the other, staying true to that core value of trying to deliver something people need, and not being contained in the pre-existing paths that are there and so easy to follow.
Yeah, absolutely. When you provide these types of services to families, it does make a difference. It makes a difference for the funeral home. And even if the family doesn't realize it at that moment, they will at some point. We had that experience with a woman who called us up or she called the funeral home up and she said, "I didn't realize how great you were." And they go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Well, my sister-in-law just had lost her husband. She had lost her own husband about 6 months previous. My sister-in-law lost her husband last month, and she called me and she said, 'How did you deal with all these next steps? I just spent 8 hours on the phone with Social Security,
Yeah.
and I'm completely lost.'" And she goes, "Oh, well, the aftercare person did that for me at the funeral home." And so we ended up going and serving the sister-in-law too, but it then added so much value back to that funeral home. Like, that family got on, they sent a million Google reviews, they talked to everyone about it.
Yeah.
It was just little simple gesture of like, we as a funeral home are going to help you with these other things. We know where you're at, we know what you struggle with, and we're there for you.
Yeah.
And when you do that, when a person expects this level of service and you meet it, they'll just be pleased.
Right.
But if they expect this level of service and you start providing services of things that people had no idea, I didn't even know that was a need of mine, and you took care of it, that's when loyalty comes, right? When my family was fighting, and all of a sudden, as a funeral home, you were able to give me this app to help me divide assets and keep my family relationships intact.
Yeah.
That's when the loyalty really comes in, and you get all the things you want as a business owner.
Yeah. And I think, losing someone is such an intimate experience and totally, life altering, and everything turns upside down. And, you trust the funeral home to kind of be your guide and help you through this vulnerable, intimate moment. And I think when there isn't that kind of work, having worked previously in healthcare and operations in healthcare, thinking about how do we connect patients to the next care need that they have, you're doing a warm handoff. You're making sure that they're able to continue their care in the right hands and with what they need. And it's similar here, where you're working with families in this totally difficult spot, and the funeral home has the perspective and awareness, much like a doctor, to say this should be your next step. These people, I trust you're in good hands with them, and they'll get you where you need to go. And that, I think, is the transition people are looking for, that when they don't get it, it's like kind of like you're free falling. And that's when people, form a bad opinion and say that was not the experience I was looking for. And they don't go back, or they don't advocate for you.
Yeah. I just want to thank you, Sarah. What you've done, what you've created is helping so many families. It's helping our business. We look better because we're able to offer this service. You're helping these funeral homes that we work with and hospices because they look better by offering the service. You're just making everyone's life around you better.
Oh.
and I have this coin. Oh, where'd my coin go? Someone took my coin. Anyway, I have a coin that someone gave me, and it talks about that. How do you measure success? If even one person's life changed, that's where success is. And you have done that. You've done that for individual families. You're helping businesses. You're helping funeral homes help their families, and there's just no downside to this. So we are so grateful that you've partnered with us. We're so grateful to be able to offer your services, and grateful for your innovation and your big brains that created this in the first place. It's amazing.
Oh,
it
thanks.
Really is.
It goes right back to you guys too. I mean, I am so thankful for your partnership and support through all this. You guys are incredible, and your work inspires me. So it's just a circular loop. So thank you.
Great. Well, if you need to reach out to us or Sarah, please feel free to reach out. Here's our contact information. And if you missed the podcast, we'll put these up so people can see afterwards. But it's been a pleasure having you on, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Also want to do a quick shout out to Erin. Erin is the one who has been creating all of these SBA Live, and it was really the brainchild of Erin to get these things started. And Erin had a career opportunity at another company come up, and as much as we hate to see him go, it's a really good opportunity too. So we will miss you, Erin, so much, and thank you for what you've been able to do in creating SBA Live for us to talk about these services a little bit more.
Yeah, it's
Aaron
awesome.
has been amazing. We're gonna miss him.
And good luck at your new venture. It sounds really exciting.
Yeah, best of luck, Aaron. And I love this. I love the podcast, and also super excited about the partnership and where we'll take it. So all good things to come this year.
All right, thank you. Well, thank you. Everyone have a great day, and we'll talk to you next time.
Okay, bye, guys.